The biggest development in all of Charlotte is a master plan community called the River District. And if you've been hearing people talk about Charlotte's River District and wondering what actually is it and why people are talking about it, in this video, I'm going to be breaking down everything you need to know about the River District, the vision, the homes, the future plans, the pros, the cons, and whether this is actually a smart place to buy into right now. I actually moved out to the River District myself as one of the first residents, and it's kind of a funny story. I came here maybe a few years ago, scoping out what they're clearing out all this land, and maybe a year ago, actually, yeah, about a year ago today, I came to one of the model homes at David Weekley and just started talking to the sales rep, finding more information about what's coming to the area, what their goal is, and she answered every question I had. I mean, every question was spot on. I asked about, hey, what about the school districts? What about the commercial? Because this side of town generally doesn't have a whole lot developed yet, and that's the key term. And we'll get more into that later in the video. But long story short is I actually ended up selling myself. So I came in here trying to learn more about the development for clients of mine and sold myself. But anyway, call me a laydown, call me whatever you want. Kind of a funny story. Anyway, let's dive into what actually is the River District. So the River District is a master plan development community being built in West Charlotte along the Catawba River. And when I say massive, I mean massive. This development spans roughly 1,400 acres along the Catawba River, right next to the Charlotte Douglas Airport. But don't worry, because traffic patterns actually avoid this entire side. So if you're looking on a map, we are just west of the airport, and all the traffic patterns flow from southwest to the airport and then typically go up northeast or potentially even northwest. But anyway, so you don't have to worry about a whole lot of planes flying over, because trust me, if that were the case, I wouldn't have bought here either. But the long-term vision includes thousands of homes. We're talking 2,300 single-family homes, 2,300 multifamily homes. We'll have apartments, and like I said, retail was one of my biggest questions about it, because there aren't a whole lot of things currently here, but we're gonna have restaurants coming in. They have what's being called the Forge, which is a farm-to-table cafe restaurant style that's gonna be in the Westro part of the River District. Gonna be really cool. There's a 2-acre working farm that's gonna supply the vegetables for it. We're gonna have office spaces. You got parks, tons of trails. So my actual favorite part, because the retail isn't built up yet, are the trails. You feel like you are in the mountains in Colorado. You feel like you have just completely escaped the city, even though we are still in Charlotte and just about a 20-minute commute to uptown Charlotte. But eventually there's going to be a lot of stuff here, really creating that mixed-use lifestyle environment. But this is, again, one of the largest developments in Charlotte that we've seen since Valentine, which coincidentally is the same, the developer of the River District is the same developer of the Valentine Bowl. And so I should probably create a separate video of the Valentine Bowl, but yeah, it's developed by Crescent Communities. They do a wonderful job. The reason this project matters so much is because West Charlotte has historically had a huge amount of undeveloped land, and now that's changing rapidly. I've talked about older communities before that have been experiencing rapid growth lately, such as Ashland Park and Enderley Park, and pretty much the entire 28208 zip code. But the River District is essentially creating an entirely new pocket of Charlotte from the ground up. This won't be just another subdivision. Think about it as its own new mini city. I'm expecting kind of what like Baxter Village feels like, but a little bit more, how do I say it? Environmental focus. So that's a huge part of this development. Is I mentioned they bought 1,400 acres. I believe And shoot, I should have this off the top of my head, but I believe about 1,100 or maybe just 700 acres are being left untouched. So you have tons of mature trees, and it's not like a cookie cutter neighborhood where they clear it all out and you have these tiny trees being planted here and there. No, you feel like you are already in an established community, which is fantastic. But it's not supposed to feel like those standard subdivisions with strip malls everywhere or, you know, a typical suburban sprawl. The developers are heavily pushing for that nurture and urban living combined. And you can see that as you walk around, which is by far my favorite part. Some of the planned features include over 500 acres of preserved green space. You got riverfront park access, walking and biking trails, a 2-acre working farm, public gathering spaces, outdoor focused amenities. They've even received a rare sustainability designation called One Planet Living Leader, which is only awarded to environmental friendly projects. And honestly, that's a pretty unique angle for Charlotte, as typically you will just see ground completely leveled off and built up with only keeping a minimal tree preserves. I could have made this video a year ago, but it's much nicer to see today as people are already moving in and you can slowly start seeing the vision coming together. The first phase is called Westgrow. Westgrow is essentially the first town center style phase of the development. Right now, you already have single family homes, townhomes, apartments, trails, and retail under construction. Community amenities are about to come in 2027, but in the first apartment community is called Novell River District, and they're building things fast. The first homeowner moved during August, I believe. It was just last year, and apartments opened up in early 2026, which, funny enough, my neighbor is actually the very first homeowner in the River District. Kind of cool. But one of the biggest questions people have is, will there actually be stuff to do here? And the answer is yes, eventually. Like I mentioned prior, we're kind of in the growing pains right now. So there's not a bunch of stuff to do currently, but the projects are coming in the pipeline where you can see the construction, and there will be a ton of amenities. There's going to be 8 million square feet of commercial space, and I'm just envisioning a ton of like cafes. Again, it's similar to Baxter Village. You'll have cafes, offices, restaurants. We're gonna have a grocery store nearby. There's a gas station that's already been pegged to start construction soon. And even, like I said, you really can feel one with nature here. So if you are that outdoorsy type and you wanna be walking distance to amenities, but also bike trails and the river, there's no better spot to be. So buyers moving here today are buying more for the future vision. But if you'd rather get something that already exists, frankly, if you can't bear the weight of waiting, you won't like living here because it's still gonna be pretty empty for another year or so. 2027 is when I envision things really taking shape. But anyway, now let's talk about location. The River District sits right off Highway 485 near the airport and roughly 20 minutes from uptown depending on traffic. And this is where opinions are split. The pros, you got access to the airport, future growth, more land and space besides your own property because the lots are pretty small here, frankly. And you got tons of outdoor lifestyle. The cons is it's still developing. Some infrastructure is unfinished and it's not as convenient yet as established areas already. Again, this is not South End. This is more the long-term lifestyle growth play. Now, obviously, no one can guarantee appreciation, but I'll say this. Historically in Charlotte, large master plan communities that successfully execute the vision tend to create strong long-term demand. And knowing that Crescent Communities is a proven developer with big pockets, and a little secret, the guy in charge of building out the River District is actually building his own home here as we speak. That shows that he's gonna be extra motivated to make this a killer community, in my opinion. But the reason people are watching this project closely is because there is a ton of land and it's a very intentional vision. Massive infrastructure investment, and West Charlotte is still earlier in its growth cycle compared to South Charlotte or even East Charlotte as well. Now, a lot of people are asking, is this the next Ballantyne? And honestly, we won't know for years, but it absolutely has the scale to become one of the most important developments in Charlotte. And if it's anything like buying in Birkdale or Baxter Village 20 years ago, or even Ballantyne, everyone would be jumping at it. These are the type of people who buying in the River District makes the most sense for. People who want newer construction, like an outdoor lifestyle, want to buy into future growth, and prefer a master plan environment. But this may not be the right fit for you if you want fully mature infrastructure today and you need walkability immediately, or prefer established neighborhoods with character. If you're thinking about moving to Charlotte or specifically looking into the River District, feel free to reach out to me directly. My team and I help people navigate Charlotte's growth areas every single day, and we can help you figure out whether this development fits your lifestyle, what builders and homes are available, and whether buying here makes sense for the long term. And if this video helped you understand the River District better, make sure to subscribe, because I'm breaking down everything happening in Charlotte real estate and development. See you next time.